On this day in the news. For those of you who watch sports entertainment television, Shannon Sharp and Skip Bayless are going to part ways from their co hosting duties on the much watched show Undisputed. Now, there was a big piece to this where people were saying it had to do with a flare up that they had had on TV between the two of them, and it caused Shannon Sharp to not show up the next day on air. And it was based around a Buffalo Bills player who went into cardiac arrest during a game. And Skip Bayless had made a tweet that Shannon hoped that he would take down. And when Shannon returned the day after he didn't show up, he addressed him on air. And before he could even get through what he wanted to say, because he'd said that he had hoped that Skip would take the tweet down, and Skip immediately said, "I'm not going to take it down. I stand by what I tweeted," so forth and so on. And Shannon, was upset. He said, "I can't even get through a monologue talking to you." So there is that point. But here's the other thing. They've been co-hosting the show for 7 years, and there's been a lot of tumultuous topics and a lot of flare ups, and maybe not to that extent, but there's been a lot of stuff. Now, I just want everybody to think, when you've worked with somebody, and we've all had a job for any amount of time, does it take 7 years for you to honestly get sick of somebody? Does it have to be like one episode? No, a lot of times you figure out who this person is and you tolerate. There's some things that you can accept. I always say there's things that you can accept about somebody, then there's things that you have to tolerate. And tolerate to me is more like when it's being forced upon you and you're having to endure something that you don't enjoy about the person. Acceptance to me is more like, it's quirky, it's just them. So, I can ride with it. But 7 years is a long time. What's the average marriage? And these are people who say they love each other and take a pact in front of God or their God or whatever. So 7 years, that's a good run. That's a good run to say we sat in front of each other, debated a lot of hot topics, debated a lot of social topics as well. It wasn't just sports. They talked a lot about race and things like that. This has gone through the George Floyd. I believe they probably touched on Trayvon Martin, even though his death was prior to them joining forces in 2016. So even if they're sick of each other, or Shannon's sick of him, or Skip's sick of him, 7 years is a long time for people to endure each other on a day in, day out basis. And any relationship, as we all know, is work. It doesn't matter if it's an intimate one with a spouse or somebody like that, or if it's a coworker, or if it's your neighbor. You have to have workings where you understand. If some of you guys know, previously I had a thing with my neighbor and her dog's barking. It's still a relationship, and you have to work with it. And so for that amount of time that I dealt with it, it was way less than 7 years. And there's a point in time where we had our thing, and it was like, okay, can you do this? Otherwise, we're going to have a larger problem. Skip and Shannon did the same thing. They just had the option to be able to move on from each other. Neither one of us, me or my neighbor, can just up and move. Same thing with jobs. You deal with people because there's pay to consider. There are benefits to consider. There's whoever you are providing for, if not just yourself, to consider. So a lot of times we stay in things and you deal with it because of what you might need to do. If you have the option, certainly you can go, but all relationships are work. And sometimes at some point, it's just not worth the work. Think of an old car or something. Do you really want to keep throwing good money after bad to keep it running if you might be able to just take a little bit of money and start over fresh with something new? So a lot of times there's relationships and there's work and everything. I think that this is the media is making it a bigger deal than it is. I understand that one contentious point that they had, which played out on air, but if we just peel back the curtain to anybody's relationships, we all have those contentious moments. There's that one where it may change the landscape of how your relationship goes on. But I digress. I'm just going on. What are your thoughts? Do you guys even know who Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp are? Do you watch the show? What are your thoughts on that? Just my considered 2 cents that all relationships are work. and they aren't guaranteed to work forever. 7 years is a good long time. They made their money, they've entertained us, and they have the right to move on. Guys, I hope this finds everybody in a place, pursuit, or beginnings of total health, mind, body, and soul. Please like, even dislike. I won't be mad at you. Leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification so you get all of this juicy content, and we'll see you soon. Peace, love, unity, solidarity. Oh, where's my kid? She was opening the door, and I think she thought she was interrupting me. Did you need in? Did you need in? Yeah. Come on.